So I have no idea what's going on. Ed's vision of a Hobbit house kind of pond.
Hey, what's up everybody? Ed the Pond Professor here. I am super excited because we have everything ready for the next phase of the Hobbit house waterfall project. We have the structure is done. Now I'm waiting on my buddies coming in. I got Blake, I got George, I got Team Aquascape, Greg Woodstock, the pond guy. They're gonna assist me on this build. It is really turning out awesome. Start placing all that stonework, creating the structure that's gonna hold all the rest of those pieces. You're not gonna wanna miss this one.
Yeah, dude, that's
Screwed up my first one.
I feel like Rodney Dangerfield. No respect, no respect.
This is punishment. When you piss off the pond professor, he kicks you out of the machine and makes you do it by hand.
27 years working together and still a first. Unbelievable.
So a lot of the structure that we're looking at right now, you are not gonna see. Most of it's buried. You're just gonna see the facade on the outside. But this, to me, is the really interesting stuff because this is what holds it all together and actually makes it all work. I've tried to source everything as local as possible. These logs are literally coming from the woods right over there on the other side of the church. So using local materials, this is exactly what the settlers originally did. They utilized the materials that they had on site and locally available. And that's what this is all about. We're trying to do this sustainability type stuff. The rest of this stuff is actually just gonna be holding up the waterfall. That's the reason I went with these big giant 10, 12-inch diameter oak logs because these things will last for 1,000 years. You can see our biofall is located in the back corner. That water is going to kind of cascade over here. On either side of me, there's going to be two big framing rocks. So we're going to funnel water in through a small waterfall to a little pooling area. Then the water will continue over to the southeast. Now this area here that is going to stay exposed, this is going to be a little viewing port. So when you're inside the little Hobbit house, you'll be able to look out. Our next steps right now are plywood in place. We put in our reinforcing timbers on top. We've left openings in between everything. That's going to be for our drainage panels. We'll be sitting on top of the liner. It's going to allow water and moisture, airflow underneath all of the soil that's going to be going on top of this building. So remember, the whole idea of this is we're going to bury it. We're creating a structure underground that can handle the heavy weight of wet soil. When I talk about wet soil, I'm standing on it because we got hit with over 8 inches of rain.
So I have no idea what's going on. Ed's vision of a Hobbit house kind of pond. So what do you got going on
Oh
today,
my gosh, we got a lot of cool stuff happening here. When we talked the other day, when you came on
Look
out
at a dog
there,
on the roof.
the dog loves the highest spot, so she's gonna have the best vantage point. But imagine baby goats and stuff climbing over the top, people underneath, fire pit over here, everybody interacting in and around this space. I mean, this whole property is designed for interaction between people and animals, and this, you have to have water to make it all work.
27 years working together and still a first. Unbelievable.
So here's a rough idea of what I'm thinking of for the stream and waterfall. So you've already seen the Hobbit house construction, got the biofalls installed. Now I want to have like a meandering stream going right over the roof. Gonna have a big cascade coming down off the corner of the roof, and it's gonna be right next to that window area that I wanna have from a viewing area from inside the Hobbit house coming out. I want a little twisting, turning stream. I have a little bit of elevation change, so I should be able to come up with another waterfall here. I love a long meandering pond system, so that's what I really want to replicate. Then I also want to have a couple big stepping stones, and I picked out some really cool rocks, so I want to be able to have stepping stones coming across to a seating area or something over on this side. I want to have a big planting bed, so I'm going to have to do a lot of stonework over here. And then I have my intake bay, so this is where all the pumps are located. The water from here will get pumped all the way over here to the top of the biofalls where it can continue that entire cycle.
You know what's pretty wet? When it's easier to pick up the dirt with your hands than a shovel.
Yeah, dude, that's
Screwed up my first one. Oh no.
That's what I was saying.
I don't think you can get that out.
I'm telling you, it wasn't going.
I think it might be too wet. the drainage panel. So we have the rubber liner down in place. That's going to be the waterproof barrier. But what we don't want to have happen, we don't want to have saturated soil all the time, because the saturated soil is going to be heavy. It's also, this will allow airflow underneath. This will also increase the load bearing capacity of the roof. These are super strong. So what we're doing is we're going to put these down, put another layer of that fabric across the top, soil on top. So what happens is the water flows down through the soil, goes into this drainage panel, hits the rubber, and then it's just going to run itself out. This is designed specifically for green roof applications. Everything's moving along despite having the bad weather and everything and the muddy conditions. We were able to readjust everything. Started digging into the other pile of soil that was on site to generate drier dirt. That helped us kind of level everything off. We have half of the Hobbit house buried. The other section we're going to work our way around. What we want to focus on now is the stream and waterfall. Normally I would be doing the pond area and the stream and working my way to the top. This project we couldn't do it. We had to shift gears, change stuff around. And it's just because if we did all of that first, we would have completely blocked our axis and we wouldn't have been able to finish everything. This big anchor stone sets the stage for the whole project. So that's the first rock. I handpicked it. I knew where it was going to go. We dropped it in place. It looks great. Now we're putting in the waterfall section. That water's going to cascade right down through this little joint. We're going to set a matching rock right next to it to frame everything out. Then we'll be able to blend everything towards the window area. Once we have this little section done, we could then start digging the pond. We could line that, get that rocked, keep the project moving forward. So if you remember from part one, I talked about doing rammed earth. So what I'm doing here is I'm testing the soil to see if actually rammed earth will work for my application. So rammed earth is an old technology. It's been around for thousands of years, and it's basically you take native soil, whatever you happen to dig up on your property, and you compact it together. But in order to do it, you have to have the right soil mixture. So this little test is going to tell me if it's the right soil mixture. So what I'm looking for, some heavy material, which is kind of down here in the bottom. So you can see some of the bigger stuff down in here. So I'm looking for about a third of a more granular material. And then I'm going to look for more sandy stuff in the middle. And then the very top layer is going to be more of a clay material. So my next test, what I have to do is I'm going to take off that top layer and I'm going to squeeze it together in my hand. And I'm going to see if it holds itself. If it all kind of just falls apart, it means the soil structure might not be good enough. So this soil came from the job site. I basically put it in the jar, mixed it all up really good, then I let it settle out for 24 hours, and this is actually what I have. So my next steps after this, test the soil, then I'm going to make a wooden form, and I'm actually going to compact the soil just the way they've done it for thousands of years to see if it actually hold up. And I'll show you all those steps in an upcoming video. I'm standing at the southeast corner of our property, and we've kind of transformed this little corner a little bit. We're always looking for a way to engage people in a different way, and what better way to do it than actually with a flower farm. We've taken up a large section of our turf grass and we started tilling it up, and we're turning it into ornamental flowers that could be cut. So now when we have guests coming over, they could have access to all the different flowers that are here. You could also sell them at farmers markets. It's another way to engage people with the property in a unique way. We're only the second homeowners for this property, so it's been in one family for hundreds of years. We looked at some old pictures from the property. One of the ancestors had actually a flower area in this particular spot 100 years ago. We're like, oh my gosh, this is a perfect location to actually do that again. And that rang really true to me because I love connecting people with nature, hence the pond professor. So throughout the property, you're going to see a bunch of stumps in various locations. I've been systematically taking out trees. I cut up all the pieces with my one-man buck saw. I limb everything up. I use as much of the wood as possible. These particular spruce trees have been struggling for the past few years. So when we made the call to actually create a flower farming section, this one was actually a big tree right here on this corner, and it was blocking that afternoon sun. The next one, I started limbing that one up. We actually have a different plan for this one. You could still see all the dead stuff up on top. We're gonna take all that growth off, but I love the shape of it, how it has these branches coming out. So what we're going to do is we're gonna plant hops on this. So this is all for my brother-in-law, who actually makes his own beer. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put vines up here, and we'll be able to actually have hops kind of hanging in this particular area. They get that morning sunlight coming in, and it's another way of utilizing the property. I actually have some hops in a couple other areas of the property. We have a harvest every early September, and you know, I tell you what, the beer is phenomenal. Don't hit the rock.
Hit the rock.
Yeah, it means that we have to stop everything and put a patch in place.
Way to go, Ryan.
This is punishment. When you piss off the pond professor, he kicks you out of the machine and makes you do it by hand, just like my school professors, except they had rulers.
Craig, so what's going on with the primer right now? What is it doing?
It's creating a talkie surface for the seam tape to stick to.
A talking?
Talkie.
Talkie? Like a walkie-talkie?
Here, I'll show you. Come
6-9er.
I feel like Rodney Dangerfield. No respect, no respect.
He's not just another pretty face out there, ladies and gentlemen.
And just like that, we're good to go.
Excavation is moving along. We're getting ready to lay out the Aquabox. This is going to be the pre-filter for the pumps. So down over here I have a layer of Aquabox. I'm just trying to figure out the shape. We're now going to dig out an area around that, and then our pumps are going to be located in the back corner. Trying to create a really sinuousy type of a form here. So I want lots of twists and turns. I want to tie in some of the logs we have, as well as some of these incredible stones. So excavation is nearly complete for the main part of the pond and stream. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shift over to here, get this section excavated, then we can start dropping our fabric in place, our liner, and we can start setting some stone.
Hey! I gotta show my nephew how it's done.
The Aquabox are going to be, this is a pre-filter for the pumps. So all the water is going to come from the pond. It's going to go down through the blocks themselves. And what this does, it kind of mimics what happens in streams. Because of all that webbing and everything, water is going to get drawn through, and it creates like little turbulence areas. It allows the sedimentation process to occur. There's going to be river rock on top. The river rock will pre-filter out like leaf debris, pine needles, that type of stuff. Clean water goes through, kind of gets mixed all the way through, goes over to the pump. From there, it goes all the way to the top of the biological filter. So this is like a sump system that you would have on an aquarium. All that water is going to get twisted through because of that shape on there. You see it has like fins and stuff. So what happens is you have fast moving water on one side, and then it kind of creates a lower pressure area on the back side of that as the water comes through. That creates these little eddies, micro eddies, and that allows for good oxygenation, allows for sedimentation to occur. And this is also part of the biofilter media, because this will have a biofilm growing on it. I'm standing in the main gathering area at Blue Sky Farm. Here's our signature truck that we have here. Ellen does her goat yoga events and her animal interactions actually inside of that room. So when guests arrive, they come into this area where they could actually see, you got the corn crib, you have the barn, you have animals. This is the next water feature that I want to do. I want to take water off of the roof of the barn. It's a great source of water. It'll help with some of our erosion. So if I can capture that, and if I could put it underground in a modular tank, now I've solved a problem from erosion, and I have also created a great drinking water source for those animals. Because this is the gathering area, I'm thinking of doing some sort of a pergola structure. I would love to have a decorative water feature of some sort, probably more fountain-like, but the dual purpose of it will be on the opposite side. There will be an underground tank that will send a portion of the water over to the animals. It'll bubble up into some sort of a drinking vessel. It'll then recirculate itself back down and connect with that underground tank. So I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but one of the biggest challenges of keeping animals is actually giving them food and water on a daily basis. And I know they're gonna love it when we complete this water feature. So I hope you're enjoying my journey as I create a really unique space for my family, friends, and animals. See you on the next project.